I was 70. I did the great big 7-0 for that album, and I feel fantastic.
Tamela Mann breaks down over Mama Mosie Burks' death. She was left all alone. These words carry a weight that echoes beyond the gospel world and settles into the hearts of everyone who ever felt the power of Mosie Burks' voice. After decades of lifting spirits and shaking souls with her music, the final chapter of Mosie's life reveals a haunting truth that many never expected to hear. The story that Tamela Mann courageously shared has peeled back the curtain on a side of gospel music that few ever dared to face. It is a story of love given freely, of loneliness suffered quietly, and of a painful silence that now speaks louder than any choir ever could. For so many years, Mama Mosie Burks was more than just a gospel singer. She was a force, a living symbol of faith, hope, and perseverance. As the powerhouse voice of the Mississippi Mass Choir, she turned songs into sermons and performances into moments of shared spirit. Her voice, gritty and soaked in conviction, made songs like "When I Rose This Morning" and "I'm Not Tired Yet" feel like they were written for every person who ever struggled and believed. Her presence alone could turn an ordinary Sunday into something holy. Yet behind all that power, a quieter, more painful story unfolded. As the years moved on, Mosie's voice that once roared in sanctuaries and concert halls slowly grew quiet. Her name still held respect, but the crowds that once waited for her began to drift to newer voices. Age and illness began to take a toll that no microphone could hide. And while fans assumed she was living her retirement in peace, the reality was far more heartbreaking. In her final months, Mosie's days were not filled with laughter or visitors. The doorbell rarely rang, the phone stayed silent, and the woman who once inspired thousands faced her own struggle in a small, quiet room. Those who knew Mosie during this time have shared painful stories. One neighbor remembered seeing her by the window, eyes searching the street as if hoping someone familiar might appear. Week after week, no one came. Even the family visits became rare. The friends who had sung beside her, praised God beside her, seemed to fade away when she needed them most. It was as if the applause she had earned for so long had vanished, leaving only the quiet sound of waiting. What hurts most about this story is that Mosie was not just physically ill. Her pain ran deeper than what medicine could reach. It was a pain of being forgotten, of wondering whether her years of giving had truly mattered to those closest to her. Fans who loved her music might never have known this, but inside her own home, Mosie felt the weight of abandonment. When Mama Mosie Burks passed away, social media lit up almost instantly. Tributes poured in from all corners, sharing old videos of her most stirring performances. Fans remembered how her voice had moved them, and many spoke of the moments her songs helped them find faith again. Churches held special services, and gospel radio stations played her greatest hits back to back. Yet for Tamela Mann, something about all of this felt painfully hollow. Tamela Mann, a beloved voice in gospel music herself, knew a side of Mosie's story that the public did not. While everyone else shared praises after Mosie's passing, Tamela remained silent at first. Her silence spoke of something deeper than grief alone. And then, in a raw and emotional moment during a gospel podcast, Tamela finally shared what had weighed so heavily on her heart. Through tears and a trembling voice, Tamela said what no one else had dared to admit. Mosie did not deserve to die alone. Tamela revealed that she had tried to visit Mosie during her last year, but was kept away. Family members, she explained, had grown distant and guarded, telling visitors that Mosie was too tired to see anyone. But Tamela believed Mosie was not tired of love. She was tired of feeling unseen, tired of waiting for people who never came. Tamela's words cut deeper than many expected. She shared her own experience of feeling abandoned by people she once called a church family. Even with her fame and success, she too had moments where she felt ignored and left out by those who had once worshipped alongside her. This parallel between her own pain and Mosie's final days opened wounds Tamela thought had healed long ago. The honesty of Tamela's confession sparked a fire within the gospel community. Some praised her bravery, saying it was time someone spoke the truth. Others accused her of stirring division, arguing that grief should remain private. But Tamela refused to stay silent. She posted a message that resonated with many. People will sing your praises at your funeral, but remain silent while you cry for help when you are alive. For Tamela, this was not just about Mosie's death. It was about the silence that surrounded Mosie long before her final breath. Mosie's passing had already shaken her fans, but what came next revealed an even deeper sorrow. A retired nurse who had cared for Mosie in her final weeks shared that Mosie had written a letter and hidden it in her Bible. Mosie asked that it only be read if no one spoke the truth about what had really happened to her. That letter has not been fully released to the public, but parts of it were shared, and they are heartbreaking. In the letter, Mosie wrote that she missed everyone deeply. She said she forgave those who stayed away, but admitted she felt lonely. She wrote that God stayed with her, but her people did not. One of the most painful lines in that letter was Mosie's belief that people would mourn loudly for her in public, but ignored her tears in private. This confession turned Mosie's story from a simple tale of passing to something much darker: the betrayal of someone who had given everything. As the truth about Mosie's loneliness spread, fans and members of the gospel world began to ask hard questions. Where were the gospel leaders who once praised Mosie? Why had there been no major tribute while she was alive? Why were people so quick to post videos after her passing, but had stayed silent when she waited for them? The silence from some of gospel's biggest names became more painful than words. Mosie's letter also included a personal message for Tamela Mann. Mosie mentioned that she had heard Tamela's song, "Take Me to the King," played by a nurse in her final days. Mosie said it became her own prayer. This revelation left Tamela heartbroken. In a post after reading the message, Tamela shared that she wished she could have sat with Mosie one last time, not to sing for applause, but simply to bring comfort. The gospel community's response to all of this was divided. Some joined Tamela in calling for change. Others felt her words were too harsh, arguing that private matters should remain private. Yet for Tamela, silence itself was the true betrayal. Her words pushed the conversation from sorrow to accountability. Younger gospel artists soon echoed Tamela's call. They began speaking openly about the need for real support for aging legends like Mosie. Ideas emerged, like creating funds to help with medical costs, hosting visits to check on older artists, and pairing younger singers with veteran gospel musicians to keep them connected. These steps, they hoped, would prevent another story like Mosie's. Yet not everyone welcomed these ideas. Some gospel industry leaders felt threatened. They worried about criticism of the way things had always been. One pastor even remarked that the gospel community was not a place for scandal, insisting that these matters should be handled quietly. But fans and younger artists saw the irony. To them, silence was the real scandal. The truth needed to be spoken, even if it was uncomfortable. Tamela took her message further. She announced plans for an event she called the Remembered Summit. Its purpose would be to honor gospel legends while they were still alive, to give them love and recognition before it was too late. For Tamela, this was not just about Mosie, but about every gospel artist who had felt the sting of being forgotten. In the wake of Tamela's emotional speech, new projects began to take shape. One was Mosie's Table, started by Tamela and her husband, David Mann. The project aimed to bring meals, medical support, and visits to aging gospel pioneers who might otherwise feel alone. It was not about charity, Tamela explained. It was about healing, about showing that love was not something to be saved for funerals. The story of Mosie's final days also forced gospel fans to look closely at the community they cherished. Many realized how quickly the spotlight can fade, and how easily someone who gave so much can be left in silence. Mosie's life had been one of service and song. Her death exposed the painful truth that fame does not always protect from loneliness. At Mosie's memorial, a former choir member shared words that stayed with many. He said Mosie would not have wanted endless mourning. Instead, she would have wanted people to love louder, live better, and never forget those who paved the way. This simple truth became a rallying cry for change. The story of Mama Mosie Burks is not just about loss. It is about the choice to see those around us before it is too late. It is about asking ourselves who might be sitting by a window today, hoping for a call or a visit. It is about making sure that no one who gave us so much ever feels alone. As more details of Mosie's final days came to light, the gospel world faced a moment of reckoning. For too long, the community had been quick to honor the dead, but slow to love the living. Tamela's words forced everyone to question old habits and to think about what real care looks like. The impact of Mosie's story continues to ripple outward. Some churches have begun monthly visits to retired gospel singers. Others have started building legacy walls to celebrate the lives of older members. Fans have created online spaces to share memories and keep the names of gospel legends alive. Perhaps most powerful of all is the reminder that the greatest gift we can give is presence. Mosie's life taught us that love should be loudest when it matters most. As the gospel world continues to reflect on this painful chapter, Tamela Mann's voice remains a guiding light. Her willingness to speak truth, even when it hurt, turned private grief into a call for public compassion. She showed that sometimes love means refusing to stay silent. Mama Mosie Burks' story may have ended in this world, but her final silence has become a song in itself. A song that asks us to see, to care, and to remember. Her life, her pain, and her words have sparked a change that the gospel world can no longer ignore. In the end, it is not the size of the choir or the brightness of the spotlight that matters. It is the quiet moments of love, the visits, the calls, the words spoken before it is too late. Mosie taught us this throughout her life, and in her final message, she taught it once more. If this story moved your heart, share it. Speak her name. Reach out to someone you admire before the chance is gone. Because the greatest tragedy is not that Mosie Burks passed away. It is that she felt alone when she should have felt surrounded by love. So let us remember her, not just in words, but in action. Let us promise that the next time someone like Mosie waits by a window, they do not wait alone. And to Mama Mosie, thank you. You gave us your songs, your spirit, and your truth. Even in your final silence, you taught us the loudest lesson of all. We will not forget, and we will do better.